Hello everybody, my name is Professor Rich and today we're learning some English. We're going to talk about articles today in the context of difficulties and survival and life. How's everyone doing today? My name is Professor Rich and this is an English class about articles and resilience. Resilience. You can see a lovely picture there on the screen of a resilient flower. Resilience. So the context is resilience and the grammar point today is articles. Today we will discuss resilience. We will practice listening. We'll discuss article use. That's your grammar. We're going to go through the entire grammar of articles, almost every point of it, from A1 all the way to C1. I'm not going to talk about the C2 grammar with articles. There is some of it. You can ask about it if you want at the end of class, and we'll go into that. But we're going to do the grammar from A1 to C1 for using articles in English. Now, I did a little vote in the chat to welcome everyone to the stream. And the vote says, what class of words do articles belong to? And we have kind of a worrying result. Well, worrying from one respect. If you are a grammarian, you might be concerned by the results here. Our results have the winner at particles with 46%. That is definitely not the best answer. The answer we should be going for here is determiners. So articles are a type of determiner. Another type of determiner would be a pronoun. Like my car, right? That's a determiner. This, that, these, those, some is also a determiner. So these are all determiners, and a subclass of determiners is called articles. So let's begin today by talking about, well, let's have some practice on the topic of resilience. Take a look at the text on your screen, and for each of those spaces, I would like you to type in the chat, is it a, an, the, or no article? So a, an, the, or no article. You can type in the chat, and for this activity, I will give you 5 minutes. And you can see we have a lovely timer there above my head at the top of the screen. We've got a fancy little gradient timer. If you like that, then smash that like button right now for the timer. Thank you, folks. I'll give you 5 minutes to have a go at that. This is just an introductory activity. We're going to be getting a lot more complicated. We're going to talk about the ins and outs of articles. While you do that activity, I will take this moment to say hello to our lovely students in the chat. So hello to Mina Pahandi, who doesn't miss a stream these days. It's great to have you here, Mina. Thank you very much. Sleepwalker, also a regular now on the channel. Hello, Sleepwalker. How are you doing? Sleepwalker, are you on the Discord server? Maybe you have a different name on the Discord. Julia, good to see you. Always the representing the group of moderators is Julia. Then we have Zoya Arta, Pure Care, Anawat. Hello, how are you doing, Anawat? I got your homework. It's very interesting. We will be, later in the class, we will be checking the homework from last week. Hello to Maria del Carmen. And hello to Sonia Bottarini. How are you doing, Sonia? I had a class with one of my Italian students today, and she told me that it's very warm in Italy. It's a very, very warm January. And she said it's very difficult to sleep at the moment in Italy because it's so warm in January. What do you think, Sonia? Do you agree? Is it a warm January? So we're almost ready for some answers. You've just got 2.5 minutes remaining. Maybe 5 minutes was a little bit ambitious for this activity. Also, it gives an opportunity for people to join the stream. Often with YouTube, it takes a few minutes for the stream to kind of go out and for people to get notifications and so on. It's a really good time actually to smash that like button, which encourages YouTube to send out the notifications, especially if you get a notification, join the stream, and the first thing you do is smash the like button. And also, yeah, I love those emotes at the side of the chat. They're so fun. The heart and the smiley face and stuff like that. I do notice that, by the way. When you hit that button, I notice it. So it does actually give me some feedback. The feedback is good. Actually, in some ways, I wish I had something like that for my real classes. Like while I'm teaching in person, you know, like the learners can push a button and I can kind of see like hearts or smiley faces jumping up. That would be really useful feedback for a teacher, I think. Right, and I do think that that is enough of that. So let's have a look at the answers here. Number 1, no article. Number 2, no article. Life has difficulties. What's the best thing to do when no article? Life is difficult. Should we stay in no article bed or should we fight? Today we're going to learn about the most important skill for facing no article difficult situations. So you can see the answers to that on your screen now. I'm not going to explain those answers just yet. We're going to talk about the reasons for all of those. But what I want is, if you had a mistake in any of those, then make a note of that now. And we'll talk about that mistake later. So if you had a mistake in that activity, make a note now, and we'll talk about that mistake later in the class. So let's move on to our topic for the day, which is resilience. I want to start by asking you guys in the chat a question. I want to know, what is resilience and why is it important? What is resilience and why is it important? You have 2 minutes. While you do that, I'm going to drink my coffee. And today I have a rich special. This is a very weird coffee. I'm the only person I have ever met who drinks coffee like this. And whenever I mention it, people think I'm a little bit crazy. This is coffee with lemon. Oh, yeah. That is so good. Whew. I don't think anyone else in the world can understand that. It's very much a ProfesorRich special coffee. Black coffee. It's black coffee. Can I show you black coffee without pouring it on my desk? Yeah, black coffee with lemon. Yes, I know. It's weird. So what is resilience and why is it important? How to make that coffee. It's just black coffee. This is my cafetiere, right? With good quality coffee. And hot water. That's all that is. You can't see me because my cafetiere triggers my background. It's black coffee with lemon juice. That's it. And yes, Pallavi says ooh, and you're right, Pallavi. That is the reaction that everybody has. Nobody understands why I have this. I don't either. I don't always drink this, just sometimes. So Dan says it's the capacity to overcome difficulties. That is a good definition, Dan. The capacity to overcome difficulties. Renit says the ability to become strong, happy, or successful again after a difficult situation or event. That almost sounds like a Google definition, Renit. That's very good. And Arisa Fukara says it's to recover. It is about recovering, but it's also about surviving. That is, surviving in difficult situations. Surviving in difficult situations. So, we're going to talk about resilience today. I'm going to read you a little text on resilience, okay? And this is a little text on resilience. It starts with talking about the American dream. Do you guys know the American dream? What's the American dream? Or what was the American dream? What's the American dream, folks? Answers in the chat. Quick answers. What is the American dream? Last chance. Does anyone know what the American dream is? Equality and faith, says Zoya. Not so sure about that. Pure Care says Martin Luther King. That's interesting. Hugo Takada says it's money. It could be related to money, Hugo. But the concept of the American dream is a bit different. House, family, and office job. Success, yeah. Okay, Sleepwalker has the closest one. So the American dream is something like the equal opportunity to get success for everyone. The American dream is the idea that if you work hard enough, you can be successful as anyone. That is the American dream. So you can even be an astronaut or the president or a famous scientist. Anyone can do that. That was the American dream. So I'm going to read a little text about the American dream. This is our listening practice. And while I read the text, I'd like you to think about these questions. So look at the questions there. Highlight the key words if you want to. And I want you to answer these questions according to the text. These questions according to the text. So I will read the text and I want you to answer the questions. Number one, what do you need to do to succeed according to the American dream? Number two, what is the only constant nowadays? Number three, how does resilience change how you see problems? Number four, what metaphor is used for resilience? And number five, what are our two choices when we see a problem? So what are our two choices when we see a problem? Okay? All right, I'm going to read the text now. I'll read it twice. The first time I'll read it fast and the second time slow. Okay? So first, fast. The United States used to celebrate the American dream. The dream that anyone could succeed if they worked hard enough. The path to success often comes with challenges. In modern times, change is the only constant. Resilience is necessary. It's the key to continuing through difficult times. A resilient person sees problems as temporary, not the end. In school, we learn about the resilience of great historical figures. The stories of people who changed the world often include a lot of difficulties. These individuals didn't have an easy path, they created one. Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Climbers don't start with Mount Everest or the Alps. They practice on smaller climbs first. The challenges of life will always be there, whether it's dealing with personal loss or professional problems. The ability to continue is critical. Every time we face a challenge, we have two choices: to stop or to continue. The victories might not always be great, but they are still victories. So I will read that again, and this time I'll read it at a slower speed. Okay, let's try that. The United States used to celebrate the American dream. The dream that anyone could succeed if they worked hard enough. The path to success often comes with challenges. In modern times, change is the only constant. Resilience is necessary. It's the key to continuing through difficult times. A resilient person sees problems as temporary, not as the end. In school, we learn about the resilience of great historical figures. The stories of people who changed the world often include a lot of difficulties. These individuals didn't have an easy path. They created one. Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Climbers don't start with Mount Everest or the Alps. They practice on smaller climbs first. The challenges of life will always be there, whether it's dealing with personal loss or professional problems. The ability to continue is critical. Every time we face a challenge, we have two choices: to stop or to continue. The victories might not always be great, but they are still victories. Wow, that is brilliant, Sleepwalker. Well done. I can look at your answers and I just use your answers as the solutions because that's it. Good job. Pahlavi also gave us a good definition of the American dream there. It refers to equal opportunities for the people of America coming from all sorts of socio-economic, political, and religious backgrounds. Very good. Great, Zoya, you also, everything is correct. And some correct answers there from Shimi as well. That's fantastic. So I'll show you the answers now. According to the text, the answers were work hard enough, change, temporary, muscles, and continue or stop. So we had good comprehension of that, and I have actually put the script in the notes. You can see here, and you can see I've highlighted the articles. So we've got the United States used to celebrate the American dream, the dream that anyone could succeed if they worked hard enough. The path to no article success often comes with no article challenges. Okay, so you can see here the script with the articles highlighted. That is in the notes. And we are going to talk about this and look at this a little bit. There is a reason why we use all of these articles. Okay? I can tell you those reasons. I'm a teacher, of course. I know this stuff inside out. But me just telling you those reasons might not be that helpful. I'll show you now. For example, this one here, the United States, we use the with countries when the country name contains a normal noun, like republic or states or kingdom. So we use the United States, but we say France with no article. And then this one, the American dream, is because the American dream is a single known entity. So when we have a single known entity, we use the. So we could go through all of those and talk about that. I want you to try it a little bit. So take a look at this, and in the chat, can you explain all of these article choices? So just going through those. The path to no article, success, often comes with no article, challenges. Can you explain those choices? Let's have a 2-minute timer, starting now. Why do we use the, for example? The because you mentioned it before, says Maria del Carmen. No, that's not the case here. What's that sign, says Pallavi. This sign is the sign we use to say no article. Another way of using that sign is to just write it like that. Challenges are plural and non-specific, so don't need an article. Interesting. Because there is a preposition. No. You can definitely have articles after prepositions, Lisa. Definitely. The path to the United States, for example. No article because we're talking in general. That's an interesting one. So Zoya has given a good answer, actually, where she says, 1, concrete path, 2, general, and 3, plural. I think Zoya has the best answer. So I would explain this as the path is to say, yes, one singular path. So the path is like the one singular known path. That's what we're saying when we say path, the path. Because actually you could say a path to success, which would then changes the meaning to say one of many if we say a path to success. So there is some choice here where we can say, is it the path, the one singular known path to success, or a path to success? A path to success, where we might say a path to success or any path to success. So a path to success is to work very hard, or any path to success involves difficult challenges. Something like a path to success, which I like, is to work very hard, or any path to success involves lots of difficulties, something like that. We could also drop the article and pluralize it and say paths. Paths to success are not easy, right? So actually, we have the option of using a, an, the, or no article if we change it a little bit. But here, we have chosen to say the path because we want to say it's the one singular known path to success. All right? And the others, so we have success. Success as a general category. We're not considering here that we're talking about one success or that success is a singular known thing. We're considering success as a category. So there's lots and lots and lots of different types of success, and we're talking about any of them. And then finally, challenges is an easy one. It's a plural. And with plurals, you don't use articles most of the time. That doesn't apply to, for example, band names where you have the Beatles, for example. So there are, of course, exceptions. So, should we go through some rules on articles then? We'll talk about the basics. Here's the basics. This is like the A1, A2 grammar for articles. It's the basics. So the basics with articles. With a new singular noun, we say a or an, right? Like, hey, did you guys know I have a calculator? It's not a calculator, actually, but we can pretend it is. Okay, a new singular noun, a calculator. And then, as we said previously from that one, plural nouns, no article. So it's quite simple that. If it's if it's plural or uncountable, no article, end of story. Then we've got referring to a thing introduced before, we use the. Or we can use some other thing like my or this or that. We don't have to use the, but I can use the, right? Like, oh, the calculator fell off my table, right? Oh, right. Because you know the calculator now, so I could use that. Or I could use a pronoun, probably more likely to use a pronoun, say my calculator fell off. Referring to something you know. So this is an interesting one where it's something you know is singular and a known entity. Remember before with the American Dream, I said, or with the path to success even, I said the one singular path, the one singular known path. So when we say the path to success, we assume that you know what I'm talking about. Like you know this singular path to success. You have some conception of this specific singular thing. So that's referring to something you know. Then we have superlatives like the most, the best, the biggest, the smallest, the most intelligent. And then there's a note here that, of course, we do not use articles with other determiners. So it's where is my car, not where is the car, or where is my car. And I like this car, not I like the car. Okay, that's simple stuff. I guess you guys know that. Now, as we go into more complicated rules for articles, we need to talk about contextual focus. So, of course, on this channel, I talk a lot about context. The truth is that context is absolutely critical when it comes to language and communication. Basically, everything is about context. So, language is highly contextual. English is highly contextual. Other languages, like Japanese, is even more contextual. Languages are very, very contextual. Contextual means they depend on the context. What is the context here? The context here is an online English class. And there are some other contexts going on here, like I'm speaking British English, I'm having a coffee, I'm chatting quite casually with you. These are all parts of the context. Okay? So if we look at these pictures, we can see some different contexts here. On the left, we see a family meal. So we can see a family having lunch or having dinner. And on the right, we can see some ladies doing Pilates. So family meal versus Pilates. These are quite different contexts. So our contextual focus means, as a speaker, what is my focus on in the context? So with this on the left, the family meal, we could say, could you pass me the salt? Or the salt's fallen over, right? We don't need to introduce the salt. We don't need to say, hey, there is a salt. Can you pass me the salt, right? We don't need to say there is a salt because we're having dinner. We know that there is a salt. There's always some salt. So can you pass me the salt? Ooh, makes perfect sense in a family dinner. And we use the definite article the. It's a singular known entity. We know what it is. It's singular. We say the. In fact, yes, it is singular. Right. Okay. And then on the right, we consider Pilates. Right? Now, can you imagine in Pilates, someone says, hey, can you pass me the salt? I'm sorry? The salt's fallen over. We're doing Pilates? Right? So this would be very, very strange to say. This sentence would be very, very strange to say in Pilates. And that's because of our contextual focus. That's because our language depends heavily on our context. And that is, of course, true for articles as well as other language. All right? So that's the importance of contextual focus. Now that we understand that, we can talk about the two main reasons to use no article or to use the and the noun. So we often talk about using no article with general categories. General categories. I think of a general category as the header at the top of a big data table. So at the top of a table of data, you have these headers, and they are like your categories. And then under that header, you've got loads of stuff. Now, we can't say what all those things are. They're not all known. And in fact, we're talking about things that could be that category in the future as well. So when I say, I like chicken with no article, this means that I like eating chicken, anything from the category of chicken. And that includes in the future. So if a new chicken appears in the future and I eat it, I like it because it is of the category chicken. I'm not talking about a singular or a known group set of chickens or chicken. I'm talking about the category of chicken. So it's like a general category that something can become part of in the future, as well as everything that can be part of it now. We can contrast that with specific things. For example, saying, I like the chicken. This would be a perfectly acceptable sentence to say when having dinner at someone's house. So you're having dinner at someone's house and they say, oh, how is it? And you say, I love it. Actually, I really like the chicken. And we say the chicken because I'm talking about the one you cooked. So here I'm talking about the specific one. Right. And we could also go on. We could say stuff like, not so contextually focused. You can pretty much say this at any point, where we could say something like, I like the chicken. I like the chicken they do in that restaurant. Something like that. Where this, again, we're putting the, and this time I'm clarifying what I'm talking about, because if I just say I like the chicken, you, without context, you have no idea. So I give you the context by saying they do in that restaurant. Also with this one, with I like the chicken, and it's something you've cooked, maybe next week I could say, oh, I love the chicken that they cooked. I love the chicken that they cooked. It was great. Right. So again, we can do that. So they are our two main ways of deciding, does something have no article or does it have the definite article? It's the idea of, is it a general category or is it a specific thing? That can be singular or plural, by the way. It can be a specific singular thing that's known, or it can be a specific group of things that's known. A known group where we know the items of the group, like the chicken that they do in that restaurant. Right. So there's some other things you need to know to have a mastery of articles. First of all, geography. So we have a lot of arbitrary rules for geography with articles. These rules do not make sense, and they do not need to make sense. They are simply what we do. So for lakes, streets, mountains, islands, and beaches, we use no article. Lake Ladybower, Grange Road, Mount Everest, an island, Rich. Britain. Okay, that sucked. Ireland, there you go. Okay. And beaches like Brighton Beach. And then with these rivers, seas and oceans, mountain ranges, island groups and deserts, deserts, we use the. So the River Nile, the Atlantic Ocean, the Himalayas, the Cayman Islands, the Sahara Desert. These rules are arbitrary. They are not 100% true. There are exceptions to those rules. And, well, you can learn them either by learning the rules or, as I recommend, learn them with phrases and experience. It's the best way to learn them. All right, and then moving on, we've got countries. So most of the time with countries, there's no article. The exception is countries containing normal nouns. So most countries, no article. France, Germany, India, no article, India, Portugal, okay? But then containing a normal noun, the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates. Emirates means states. The United States, etc., etc. Then it gets a bit more complicated with describing countries. So if we have a descriptive noun area, that means if we say Northern England or Southeast Asia, right? There's no article. So I'll write that. Northern England, no article. However, we use the with proper noun areas such as the North or the South. So if I talk about the North or the South, I use the article. But if I talk about it like this, Northern England, I don't use an article. So why the hell is that? Because they mean exactly the same thing. The point is, it doesn't particularly matter if they mean the same thing. The point is, what is my contextual focus? Am I focusing on the specific known entity, the North, which makes sense in this context because I'm in England and I'm talking about the North? Or am I focusing on the general category? That is, anything that fits in the category of Northern England. And I understand it's a bit weird that those things refer to the same thing, but they do. And that's just something we have to accept. That's life. There's more than one way to say different things. Then we have states and counties have no article. So, for example, Cheshire, Lancashire, right? Or in the United States, we might say California or New York. And then cities, again, New York, the city, London, etc. And continents, Asia, Europe, etc. No article. Now we're almost done with our rules for articles, but there's one more important thing I want to talk about. This is a real important one, and this is special places. So, there are some special places in English, and we don't use a definite article for them when you might think we should. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? What are the special places that I'm talking about? Oh, Pachu says, why the United Kingdom? Kingdom is a normal noun. As in, kingdom is a thing, right? But France is not a thing. It's a name. Chicken has two meanings. Chicken has more than two meanings. For sure. Chicken has more than two meanings. Chicken has quite a lot of meanings. Pachu says, the dogs which are black in the colour, the dogs which are black in colour are very royal to the owner. Is it correct the? Yes, it is if you're talking about a specific group of known dogs, then that is correct, Pachu. However, if you want to talk in general, as in to say all dogs in the category of being black, then you could drop the article. So in your example, Pachu, you could have no article, or you could use the. Yeah, you guys haven't quite got the special places. You don't quite know what I mean, so I'll show you. It's these ones. It's these ones. So we've got home, work, school, hospital, prison, court, and bed. We often do not use an article with these places. For example, I'm going to work, I'm going to school, they're walking to college, she's gone to hospital, he's gone to prison, he's going to court, right? Now, there's an interesting thing about when we do that. When we do that, it changes the meaning of the verb, right? So if I say, for example, he's gone to prison, that actually means he is in prison, right? So weirdly enough, the prison guards go to the prison. They don't go to prison, right? So the prison guards, in fact, go to work in the prison, right? They don't go to prison, because go to prison means you're in prison, as in jail, as in you're a criminal. Or he has been prosecuted, at least, right? And that's similar for some of these other things. Like if I say, I'm going to bed, I'm going to bed doesn't mean I'm going to the location. It means I'm going to sleep. So there's something about using these special places like that which kind of changes the meaning of the verb. Changes the meaning of the verb, right? We're no longer focusing on the location, but instead we're changing this verb to mean something. It's almost like a phrasal verb. I am enjoying my weird coffee. Home being an adverb. Yeah, it's possible that home can act as an adverb, actually. Home is even weirder. Home is like weird amongst the weirdos. Because with home, I'm going to show that home is actually even weirder. With home, you don't need a preposition. And actually, that would imply that it is an adverb, as you say, Dan. Like, I'm going home, rather than I'm going to home. So that's quite interesting. These other ones, I don't believe they're... I think they are acting as nouns without an article, not as adverbs. However, there's something adverbial about them because they affect the verb. And actually, an adverb is a word that affects a verb. Pallavi says, I'm lost. The thing you can do with this, Pallavi, is you can come back and watch it again when you do article practice, and you can find the explanations for different parts. So, I'd like to do some practice. Here you go, folks. I'm going to show you now a text, quite a long text, and I would like you to try and tell me, is it an, the, or no article? This is quite extensive. I think we need at least 5 minutes for this. My cat's in the way. Thank you, Pepper. All right, 5 minutes, and you got 1 to 19, an, the, or no article. Even 5 minutes might be difficult. Don't worry if you can't finish. Just try to do as many as you can. You can try to apply the rules that we've talked about today. I will use those rules to explain any issues that we have. Parks are without articles, says Sleepwalker. That's right. He was behind bars. No article, Julia. Behind bars. Phrasal verb. Be behind bars. What's the difference? I need to see a doctor or the doctor? The doctor implies that it's your GP, as in you're going to your regular practice. But when you say a doctor, it's like you don't have a regular doctor or you just need any doctor. And actually, when we say a doctor, it sounds like almost like you need to find one now in this situation. So like on a plane, they'll say like, is there a doctor anywhere, right? We need a doctor. Rather than if your friend is sick, you might say you need to go to the doctor, as in your GP. You need to go to the doctor. So again, it's this kind of idea of, are we talking about the specific known entity? Good job, folks. Really going for it there. And I just noticed that my timer hasn't even appeared, so that's really useful. Well done, Rich. You've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left until I give the answers to this. Sleepwalker, you do need to check for instances of a or an. So maybe I'll give you guys a little bit of a hint here. There is one use of the indefinite article. In other words, there is one use of a in the text. One use of a. And Dreamer says, good day, teacher. How are you? Good to see you, Dreamer. Smash that like button. We've been talking about articles, and we've got quite in-depth. I think this is the most in-depth lesson I've ever given on articles, actually. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the things that we didn't talk about. There are some of those. All right, the time is up, so I'm going to go through some answers. So it is, I have a great love for traveling. I've seen South America, Northern France, the Himalayas, Lake Ladybower, and the River Nile. I've been to Europe, to Asia, to China, and to the United States. Despite all the excitement and fun, I always feel happy to go home. Comfort and safety are something we don't appreciate enough. The comfort we get from being at home is the best. All right, there's your answers, and you can see those now on the screen. Would anyone like to ask about any specific instances there of those answers? And I can try to explain them. By the way, the best grammar book on English grammar for learners, that is, if you want a grammar book which doesn't have exercises, but it has explanations of English grammar, is Practical English Usage by Michael Swan. There are actually better books, but there are no better books that are good for students. There's better books for teachers, which get very complicated, but for students, I think it doesn't get much better than Michael Swan's Practical English Usage. And I can actually give you an affiliate link for that, although it is Amazon in the UK, so I don't know if that really is going to work, but all right. I always find it a little bit easy. Amazon don't make it amazingly easy to share their products. As in to share a specific product, and you have to be careful about how you do it. All right, I'm going to paste that in the chat. That's Michael Swan. Michael Swan's Practical English. What's it called? Practical English Usage. It's the best grammar Bible for students. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is because if you read Michael Swan's section on articles, he starts by saying, articles in English are one of the most difficult areas of grammar. Articles in English are one of the most difficult areas of grammar. So, what you can take away from that is, if you find articles difficult in English, welcome to the club. Because the guy who wrote the Bible on English grammar said, it's one of the most difficult areas of English grammar. So, hey, maybe it's all right. Right, let's take a look, see if we have any questions. Shimi says, how come South America doesn't come as the South America? Shouldn't we put the before a word if it has words like south, north, east, and west? No, it's because it's an adjective, not a noun. So I know what you're saying with, like, it contains a normal word, but that word's an adjective. So we don't need the article. If the word was a noun, like kingdom, and you had a country called Kingdom America, which is possible, then it would be the Kingdom America, for example. That's the idea. But South is an adjective. Adjectives are okay. So we've got North Korea, South Korea, etc., etc. Great Britain. Great Britain, not the Great. And hello to Lena Anisimova. So Zoya says, love is uncountable. Why? Aha. So what you've encountered there is the idea that, in fact, many nouns in English have multiple uses and meanings and even forms. And actually, love is one of those. There's lots of them. There's lots of them. And sometimes when we're using a word with a different use or different meaning, then it also changes the form, also changes the grammar of that. All right? So examples would be like time. You could say stuff like, we can use time as being countable. We can say like, you know, time goes fast, right? But we can also use it as we can use it as uncountable. We can also use it as countable. Like, there was a time when I had long hair. And actually, these two instances of time are actually different things. They are not the same thing. So this is like time, the concept of time, and this is time as in an occasion. Okay? So love here is just one of those. Okay? And we're just using, if we use love as uncountable, then we're talking about the concept, the idea of love. And if we use it countable, that actually means a passion. Yeah. So we could say, I have many loves. Teaching is one of them, for example. So I think that should answer your question, Shimi. Sleepwalker said, I wrote despite all the excitement and the fun, but we should not write the before fun. Is it because we have the before excitement already? No, it's not. Wait, is it? It is. It is. I'm sorry. It is. It is exactly that. Because if we wrote it as despite all, and we wanted to say fun, despite all fun makes no sense. So in fact, we need to say despite the fun. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the fun which you get on holiday. Our contextual focus is talking about holiday, so it makes sense to say the fun. But in fact, it is okay. What if we say, despite all the excitement and the fun? That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. So, Sleepwalker, your answer is actually okay. Yes, that sounds fine. So, dropping it just to avoid repetition. So, in fact, my answer is incomplete. Should be like that. Despite all the excitement and no article or the fun. Great. So love isn't really love in that sentence, but passion. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And actually, Sleepwalker, love in particular is quite an interesting word to choose, because love actually is very, very complex and has many, many meanings, right? It has many, many meanings. So, like, if we can compare a lot of different sentences with love, like, I love my wife, right? I love my car, okay? I love my cats. I love spending time in bed. And yeah, I have a great love for cinema, for good films. Okay. So, and I would argue that most of these are slightly different, right? Like when I say I love my wife, that is quite different to the way that I love my car. there's a lot of different things going on there. Like when I say I love my wife, I mean I care for my wife. I want my wife to be happy. I enjoy understanding my wife better, right? There's all these kind of ideas with that. Whereas when I say I love my car, I don't mean like I want my car to be happy, right? That actually I don't particularly care if my car, in fact, I kind of accept that my car can't really be happy. So in fact, what I mean when I say I love my car is something like I really enjoy having my car and probably enjoy driving it and so on as well. What I mean is I enjoy it. So that's quite different, really. Now, when I say I love my cats as well, there might be some crossover. So that my wife is probably going to watch this, and I'm sure this will create an interesting conversation. But there's probably some crossover in my love for my wife and my love for our cats, in that I want to care for my cats. I want my cats to be happy. I do like to understand my cats, but I have to say I'm more motivated to understand my wife than my cats. So it's interesting to understand my cats, but I will dedicate more energy to understanding my wife. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that love is very complex and there's loads of different meanings, but definitely that one, yeah, that's massively different. A great love for good films is like a strong, a passion, a strong interest, something like that. Why are you so scared of your wife, teacher? Okay, Pallavi, let's get this very clear. I'm not scared of my wife, all right? And I don't think it's healthy to be scared of your wife. If you're scared of your wife, that sounds unhealthy. Okay, I'm not scared of my wife. Okay, my wife is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But as you'll understand, marriage is a complex thing which involves kind of fun and games and interesting things going on. But sometimes you do have to be a little bit careful, especially if you're me with my big mouth. You have to be a little bit careful about the things that you say because they might not represent exactly how you feel. And then if you say something that doesn't represent exactly how you feel, and then have a conversation later with your wife, things can be very interesting. Let's put it that way. I'm very, very happy to be married, by the way. Super happy. And everything has been... there was some discussion in the chat about, oh, Rich has a fiance or a wife or what's going on. I'm married. And that's all. That was all done in December. I'm not going to talk about it more because actually I talk too much about personal things. But happily married, ProfesorRich. All right. Super happily married, actually. So, do we have any other questions? Would you recommend any books or websites for phrases, expressions, idioms of speaking and writing? I can't recommend any specifically, Pachu. I think the best thing for me to recommend is watch my video about vocabulary notes and then just use the advice that I give you in that. In other words, you find the phrases yourself. Don't rely on some book that puts them in arbitrary categories. You become a vocabulary machine. All right. I've done a few videos on this. Is there what? Let me see if I can find a quick one here. Learn English. There you go. Learn English vocabulary, the best method. Check that out. Pachu says, please, one class with Madame. I'll talk to her about it, Pachu. I don't it's up to her, really. She has her own life, her own things going on, their own profession. And, you know, we help each other out with those things, but we don't directly cross over with them. So we'll see. It's not impossible that we'll do something together. And also, it's not impossible that I'll do something in her work as well. But we'll see if that happens and when. Thank you for bringing up the topic. What's the difference between equality and equity, says Zoya. To be honest with you, Zoya, we're getting political with that. And it could be a question which is more appropriate for our philosophy class, because I'm going to do a philosophy class on the philosophy of politics. By the way, hello to Nina Melody. I guess she just joined. Smash the like button, Nina. If you came here on a recommended video, it helps a lot to hit the like button, because then YouTube goes, oh yeah, I recommended a video. Someone clicked it and then they smashed the like button. That's what it's all about. Right, what was I talking about? Equality and equity. Okay, so broadly speaking, equality often this is in politics. In the context of politics, equality often means starting at a position of equality, whereas equity means ending at a position of equality. So the concept of equity is often quite controversial, because equity indicates that we should all end at the same point. In other words, no one does better or worse, we all finish at the same point. So equality could be we all get the same opportunity, whereas equity is we all get the same result. That's the difference in politics. Dan says, explain these prepositions such as at the back, in the back, on the back. On the back? Yeah, prepositions are a bit weird. They probably make most sense when used for places. So prepositions of place, I think we'll call it. You should definitely note that normally prepositions do not make sense. They are merely convention. And I do want to just mention that. So let's save the prepositions of place for later. So, for example, if I say I'm thinking about having a party, or if I say I'm married to my wife, why do we use to here and why do we use about here? That is completely arbitrary. There's no reason and there's nothing particular about the word to or about which makes it special that we use it there. And in other languages, they use different ones. For example, in Spanish, they say casado con alguien. So they are married with someone. They also say, for example, soñar con algo, which means like I dream with something in English. So there's no reason for that. It's just convention. It's just arbitrary. However, prepositions of place actually probably make the most sense. So they make the most sense in terms of in means inside a box. Yeah, something like that. On means like on the table. Which not really helping me here. Yeah, that's not going to help. No. What else can we be on? Land? No. Okay. So there's a table. And we want to be on it. Ta-da, look at that. Right, so we got something like in, on, and then everything else is at. Now, now that's broadly speaking. As I said, prepositions normally don't make sense, but prepositions of place make the most sense out of all prepositions. So it's something like that. And as for your question, at the front, in the front, on the front. Okay, so yeah, on the front, you could say like on the front of the car. Like on the front of my car, I have a Mercedes symbol. And that would mean this situation, you see, there's my car. And there is my Mercedes symbol, and it's on the front of my car, right? Versus at the front, which means I'm not saying anything positional about it, really. I just mean it's somewhere around that location. Like, let me think about it. There's a weird smell at the front of the car. I'm standing at the front of the car. We could say that. I'm standing at the front of the car. And that would mean I'm standing somewhere around the front of the car. Right? I'm standing at the front of the car. Not on it. If I stand on the front of the car, that means I'm on the car. But I'm not on the car. I'm at the front of the car. Right? And then we have in. Well, in is inside. So I'm in the car, right? I'm in the front of the car. Yes, I'm in the front of the car. That means I'm sat at the driver's seat or the passenger seat. I'm in the front of the car versus I'm in the back of the car, which means you're sat in the passenger seats at the back. For that one, Pallavi, it's definitely behind. If you use no preposition, then you must say I'm standing behind the car. But if you use a preposition, you could say I'm standing at the back of the car. That's fine. Right. All right, folks. So that was a rather interesting discussion. Now, here is your homework for next week. This is the homework for next week. Talk about an experience you've had with resilience. Talk about an experience that you've had with resilience. Record a short audio and send it to me. In addition, if you would like some more practice with articles in English, then I will link some websites down below the video. You can have a bit of practice with that. I'll post that in the chat now, why not? And here is the homework from last week. Now, we are going to check that homework, but I do need to have a little break. So I'm going to have a break here for about 6 minutes. I'll put a timer on there. We'll see if I actually make it back before the 6 minutes are up. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to get another coffee and I'm going to do some other stuff. I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Oops. I did not mean to do that. Oh, dear me, dear me, dear me. Come on, what do I need to do? Ah, that's it. All right, everybody, I am back way before time. So there you go. All right. Let's knock that countdown timer off. Don't need that anymore. Oh, sugar. Yeah, so homework. We'll have a look at the homework in a minute. I just want to see if there's any other questions yet. And also, you can download the notes from today. Unfortunately, bit.ly is not working properly at the moment, so I can't use that as I normally do. So we've got a different style of link today. And Plavi's already asked a question, which is great, because I would love to talk about that. So, in fact, we will. Right, so you're talking about the th sound. I better stop the music. Because we're doing pronunciation, and you don't want a distraction if you're trying to hear the differences of sounds. So Anawat has been rather helpful here and started off by telling us that there are two types of th sound. There is voiced and unvoiced. We should, of course, distinguish what is voiced and unvoiced. What is voiced and unvoiced? It's not so simple, is it, to say what is voiced and unvoiced. So unvoiced means you have only air. You have only air. So just that's unvoiced. Right? Take your fingers, take these fingers like that, put it here, and then there's no vibration. No vibration. Just air. Okay? And then voiced, we feel vibration. So, that's our unvoiced and voiced. Now, with TH, we have two sounds. We have the voiced and unvoiced versions. By the way, the letters TH can also be other sounds like f and v. That is possible. But we'll focus on the TH sounds, as we call them, now. The first one is unvoiced. And watch my mouth position. You see that? That's the unvoiced TH. So we could have, for example, that'd be good to have an example, wouldn't it? Think, thing, think, thing, th, think, thing, think, think, think. We can contrast that with s. So sink, think, sink. Even shink, which is not a word. Shink, sink, think. Okay? So that is our unvoiced sound. And then we can try our voiced sound. So move on to this one. Be nice to have a minimal pair here. Just give me a moment. Can't think of one. Never mind. Okay, so let's have a practice with this one. This sound is th. So same mouth position. Same mouth position. Huh? But this time we use voice. Right? For example, the, another, this, that, the, this, that, another, the. And we could contrast that with z, z, z. Okay? The, another. So they're the two main TH sounds in English. As I've said, there are other possibilities for the letters TH. They can also be pronounced as an F. For example, Rich. Actually, they shouldn't be pronounced as an F. It's a what we call linguistic drift, which means it's a sound that's changing. Sometimes people, especially in the south of England, will have an accent and say bath, bath. It's actually a mispronunciation. However, it's very popular now and you hear it a lot. Okay, let's get rid of that. So, does anyone have any questions about that? Short oo and long oo, please. That's interesting, Nina. Interesting to know what you mean by that. Do you mean like that? These two words, Nina? Is that what you mean? Oh, what have you got there? Okay, I think you've put some examples, which I think is exactly that. Let's get a table. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, so you might call this long and short oo if you want. Although this one on the left looks like an oo, I actually don't think of this really as being an oo sound. I think of it more as an O sound personally, but anyway. The difficult one here for learners is this one, normally. This sound is the sound if someone punches you in the stomach, right? It's, oh, that's the sound. Or a monkey, oh, 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 right? That's the sound, okay? Oh, oh, right? Like someone punched you in the stomach, oh, right? So we have look, wood, wool, book, and took, wood, bull. Okay, that's the sound there. This one is more easy for learners, the one on the right. That's the long one. So normally with the phonemics, we see it with the long symbol to show that it's a long sound. And this one is ooh. So this is kind of like the sound when someone does something impressive and you say, ooh, right? Ooh, so impressive. Ooh. So here we have boot and moon. And I'm going to the loo. And how are you? Okay, that's that one. Ooh. So again, the two sounds are, we have the short one, ooh, and the long one, ooh. Look and boot. Thank you for the feedback, Nina. Thank you, thank you. Hilarious is good because, of course, learning is emotive. So when we have a reaction such as hilarity, it helps us to remember. So, Pachu, no, who was it? Someone said something a few times about video games. Where is it? Please do a topic on video games. Someone said it. Yes, it was Pachu. So, Pachu, I'll do it. I will do it. You know, the problem, Pachu, is I love video games so much that I think doing a topic on it will be too specific and won't do well. That's what I think. But I'll do it. I mean, I love video games. Love. Not like I love my wife, but different. Dan says, propose to means to ask someone to marry you. Why do we use propose in indirect speech? For example, he said to me, let's go home. He proposed to me that we should go home. It's different meanings, Dan. That's all. So actually the standard meaning of propose is to suggest. So if I say he proposed a new idea, that means he suggested a new idea. So when you're saying he proposed that I should go home, you mean he suggested that I should go home. That's all it is. When we use propose for marriage, we actually mean, I mean, in a way, we use suggest marriage. But it's a bit different than that, actually. It's more like offer an agreement to get married. Something like that. So like I proposed to my wife. It's like I offered an agreement to my wife to get married. Something like that. So it is just a different meaning there. If a linguist gets angry, do they use profanity or just really strong phonetics? Oh dear. I love how your name is anonymous as well. That is just brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. There's a joke in there somewhere. Yeah. Linguists are not known to get angry these days, actually, which is a shame. I think they could do with getting angrier. Rich, can you pronounce this word? Yes, I can. It's really easy. Are you ready? Particularly. 4 syllables. Particularly. Stress is on tick. Particularly. Particularly. Big mouth. Particularly. 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 Right? Don't overdo it. Don't try to go for the 5-syllable version. Nobody uses that anyway. Nobody listens to techno, so let's go. Okay, we don't need the 5-syllable version. 4 syllables. Particularly. Partic. Damn it. Don't know if that makes sense even. Particularly. Particularly good, particularly good. A lot of these adverbs have shortened versions like that. Particularly, actually, right? Not actually, but actually. 3 syllables. Actually, particularly. Thoroughly. Thoroughly. No, stop it, Rich. Stop it. What's the meaning of oops? Really? Oops is whoops, which means I did that by mistake. Oops. Oop. Yeah, people say that a lot if they bump into each other. Normally spelt with an S, by the way. Oh, or not. Okay. Yeah, like I bumped into someone. Oops. Whoops. This too is a headache. Ugh. U-R-E. You mean the letters U-R-E? Like these? Yeah, it can be. When it's a suffix like that at the end, like in nature, then it's just a schwa. Nature. As with most unstressed suffixes in English, we just reduce it to a schwa. Nature. Now with these ones, where it is stressed, you have 2 options. you have two options. And they are that or that. So there's two ways of doing it. They're both acceptable. It's, excuse me. I was about to sneeze. It's debatable over which of those is RP. Personally, I'd say that one, but some people argue this one, because I think this one is the traditional RP, that is traditional standard English. And the two sounds are and o. So which is a diphthong, right? With a diphthong, that's two sounds, so you can see my mouth move. So we have sure and pure, pure, sure, pure, like that. That's also sewer, and that's a diphthong. You see my mouth move. And then we have this, the other one, right there. That's a monophthong. So it's a phoneme, one sound. And that is or. My tongue is tense at the back. I think Japanese people can make this sound good, right? Very difficult. Fish and chips. Okay. Right, and that would be sure, pure. That's my preferred version. Sure, pure. But, of course, some people prefer the sure and pure. It's your choice. Oh, that sounds like a daisy or a pavia posing as anonymous. Nice to see you. Nice. And Enrique Gonzalez says, I'm so happy to watch your videos again. Nice to see you, Enrique. When you say again, when did you join the channel? Nina, you can do it. Your sneeze was shy. It didn't happen, Nina. I wanted it to happen, but it didn't happen. Anonymous, what does it mean? It means no name, Pallavi. No name. Or we don't know the name. Sounds like someone is about to vomit. With yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it? It could also be like a kind of a Okay, enough. Who knows? Who knows? So, do we have any other questions, folks? Questions for questions and questions. Sorry. Obviously, the coffee, my wonderful coffee with lemon is starting to kick in. If we have no more questions, then we will go to the homework. So, let's have a listen to our homework. Today we have 4 submissions, and we'll start with Julia, I think.
Let me delve into the topic of a moral dilemma. How should we view AI from the deontology or utilitarianism perspectives? In best case scenarios, AI is supercharged by other technologies like quantum computing that is going to give machine genuine human-like emotion. It can be used for the good purposes such as a treasure trove of online library for language enthusiastic or language fanatic, bibliophile and technophile. Nobody would deny the fact that ChatGPT OpenAI is the most breathtaking advanced juggernaut application by using the cutting-edge technology. In worst-case scenarios, disinformation and misinformation created by AI is the most significant risk to our global stability. It can be used for malicious purposes by the scammers in various ways and at every corner. Studies have shown that AI will most likely hit 40% jobs worldwide, in particular all mobile jobs, and worsen inequality. The policymakers should address the travel trending to prevent the technology from further stoking social tensions and see it as a hot potato. The proliferation of AI has put its benefits and risks under the spotlight. How is your perspective? Is AI outsmart than our human beings or a threat to our human society? In long story short, I have a moral dilemma about it and I was torn between the utilitarian and deontology perspective, so to speak.
All right, very complex issue for today's homework, talking about moral dilemmas, as you may remember. Nobody would deny the fact that, very useful phrase there, as well as the correct use of the fact that. The fact that is a very useful phrase which you can use to turn a noun into a clause. So, for example, after I like, right, what do we normally put? We normally put a noun, don't we? So, I like cheese, right? What if we want to do a clause, like we have a clause, like my wife made me some banh mi, right? Which is a Vietnamese thing. She made me a banh mi, a sandwich. And let's say we want to say that I like this, then we can say, I like the fact that my wife made me a banh mi, right? So we use this little useful phrase here, the fact that, to convert a noun into a clause. So I like plus noun, I like the fact that my wife made me a banh mi. Because, of course, I like my wife made me a banh mi. Not correct English. So good job there, Julia. Very good. Very nice. Misinformation created by AI is the biggest risk to society. So I didn't write this down correctly, but I wanted to highlight it because it was an example where you paused on the word the. And I think this negatively affects your pronunciation a little.
Utilitarianism perspectives. In best case scenarios, AI is supercharged by other technologies like quantum computing that is going to give machine genuine human-like emotion. It can be used for the good purposes such as a treasure trove of online library for language enthusiastic or language fanatic, bibliophile and technophile. Nobody would deny the fact that ChatGPT OpenAI is the most breathtaking advanced juggernaut application by using the cutting-edge technology. In worst-case scenarios, disinformation and misinformation created by AI is the most significant risk to our global stability.
You notice that? How Julia pauses on words like prepositions and articles, and I can still understand what Julia's saying, but I think it would be a good thing to work on because in natural English, we often avoid pausing on articles and prepositions, and we avoid stressing them.
This information created by AI is the most significant risk to our global stability.
So we have is the biggest risk to our, right? Or even biggest risk to our, right? Stressing the preposition and the article. So try not to do that, Julia. I think that would help your pronunciation and your speech if you were able to do that. So instead, we can still pause, but instead pause on the content words. So listen to me now. Misinformation created by AI is the biggest risk to society. So the biggest to society, right? I'm pausing on the noun. I stress the noun. In long story short, not quite. Let's fix that. Cutting a long story short, which means like in summary. And so to speak was very nice. A little bit of other pronunciation stuff. So pronunciation of this sound here. Cutting. Cut. Cutting edge. Cutting. And potato. 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 Thank you very much, Julia. That was absolutely fantastic. All right, let's move on.
Moral cognition involves a cognitive struggle between two systems in a brain, the emotional hot system and the rational cold system. Moral dumbfounding often occurs. Primatologists believe our common ancestors shared this hot system with the great apes, whose lives were guided by social emotions devoid of abstract moral reasoning. The cold system, specialized for abstract reasoning, is species-specific to Homo sapiens. It is found that higher working memory capacity resulted in a greater ability to override the hot system and produce more consistent judgments of choosing between the impersonal and personal moral dilemmas. For humans, both cold and hot systems significantly contribute to our moral reasoning. Individuals often consider their pets as friends, even as family. My distant cousin siblings were given a dog that has frostbitten paw and has no spleen, and she was named Jessie, like my family first dog. Study participants who had not graduated from college reported higher levels of psychological kinship, intimacy with humans and pets than those who were college graduates.
Wow.
A novel findings.
Whoa. I'm going to just play that again because it's super interesting.
Of psychological kinship, named Jessie, like my family first dog. Study participants who had not graduated from college reported higher levels of psychological kinship, intimacy with humans and pets than those who were college graduates. A novel findings here was the large percentage, approximately 27% of participants who saved their pets over the foreign human, but insisted on avoiding responsibility for their decision. The researchers have termed this avoidance of responsibility moral scapegoating. The moral scapegoaters use a rationale to avoid responsibility for their decision alleviating cognitive dissonance between the emotional desire to save one's pets versus the social pressure to preserve human life at all cost.
That was really interesting, Vladimir. Thank you very much for that. There was a question which was from Pachu, said, how do these people bring contents and from where? So you can submit your audio file, Pachu. You just need to go to our Discord server. You can join our Discord server. Quite easy. You just click a link and basically that's it. And that's the link in the chat. So if you want to join on the Discord server, you can send me the audio. And as for where they get their contents from, some people just talk about it, and that's fine. Vladimir does research, and he often gives a source for his articles, which is fine. That's his style. He enjoys doing that, and I find it interesting to get that information as well. He seems to be. I don't know if this is if you agree, Vladimir, but you seem quite academically minded. Maybe one day you should do a further study in academics. But anyway, I found this part was super interesting. Study participants who hadn't graduated from college reported higher levels of psychological intimacy with humans and pets than those who were college graduates. So going to college made people have less psychological intimacy with humans and pets. Or did they have it, or did they just think or realize that they had less psychological intimacy? Is it that people delude themselves and then go to college and realize they're not as intimate as they thought? Fascinating. So, just some things about this. Cognitive struggle. Nice bit of vocabulary. I wasn't quite sure what you were saying here with the hot system. Was it host system? Perhaps? I can check because Vladimir actually, I don't think he's here, but he always sends me the script on our Discord server. So I'll just take a look and see here. Oh, it is hot. The emotional hot system and the cold. Okay. Well, I've not heard that before, but okay. The emotional system is called the hot system, apparently. Very good. We share this hot system with the great apes. A great ability to override the hot system. Yes, that's right. We do have that ability. They consider their pets as friends. I like that. Yeah. No. What could let me think of it. I consider my pets as family. That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah, I consider my cats as family. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Vladimir. There was another question there. There's a few questions, actually. So Nina said, I like that my wife made me a banh mi. Do they have the same meaning? I like that she made me a banh mi. I like the fact that. I like that she made me a banh mi. Yes. More or less. Yeah. I prefer the fact that, but okay. I like that you did that. I like the fact that you did that. Yeah, okay. It's the same. It's the same. The teachers in the UK teach while having a cup of coffee in their hands, says Pallavi. Not all of them, Pallavi, but I do. And I also allow my students to have cups of coffee. cups of coffee, any kind of drink is okay. Don't spill it, but you can have a drink. And actually, I sometimes allow food. I don't have a strong rule about food. The college has a rule of no food during class, but I don't follow it. I allow my students to eat because sometimes people are very hungry. They have a busy life. If you got to eat, you got to eat, you know. I know it's kind of a very modern idea and it's probably not great for our health to be eating and doing other stuff. But if you need a snack to get through, it's okay. And Pallavi, the pronunciation is normally with our. The strong pronunciation is our, but normally we would pronounce that. Normally we would pronounce that very quickly and with weak form pronunciation. So instead of our, it would just be our. Our, like our cat, our cat, our cat. Our cat. Where's our cat? Where's our cat gone? Our cat. Our cat. Right? So the strong form is our, but quickly we just say our cat. Where's our cat? Where's our car? Where's our house? Right? Where's our cat? Oh yeah. So Vladimir, he said bos. So this, Vladimir, I refer you to the pronunciation practice we did before. This is both. Both. Right, we've got two more. Elena.
Hello, Rich. Hello, everyone. I remembered a play by playwright Alexander Ostrovsky where a girl faces a difficult choice. The play is called Late Love. The owner of the house, Shablova, her two sons, a lawyer Margarita and his daughter Ludmila, live in the Shablov's house. The eldest son, Nikolai, has fun and loses money at the tavern. At this time, the lost Nikolai sends his mother a letter asking her to send him money. Ludmila, in love, gives her last money to Shablova so that she can send it to her son. All the girl's thoughts are next to Nikolai. She loves him very much. Lawyer Margaritov has a woman's mortgage for which he must receive money within 2 weeks. This woman is not going to pay and therefore invites Nikolai to steal this mortgage in exchange for money. Nikolai really needs money to pay off his debts and start a new life. Nikolai tells Ludmila everything and asks to give her the mortgage. Ludmila faces a difficult task: to steal the paper from her father, who trusts her and loves her with all his heart, or not, then Nikolai will be in a difficult position. Ludmila gives the document to Nikolai. Nikolai also fell in love with the girl, so he returns this paper to her father. A good ending awaits everyone.
That was a lovely story, actually, and a lovely story well told. A good example of using the present simple to tell a story. Often we use the present simple to tell a story when we're talking about the plot of a book or film and we're describing it in summary to people, or we're talking about part of the plot of the book or film, then we often use the present simple for that. That was a really good example there from Elena. I don't really have any other comments. Face a difficult task, nice bit of vocabulary. Yeah, lovely story. I like hearing about sort of stories and stuff from Eastern Europe and Russia, because we don't actually, it's weird, but we don't actually hear a lot of the cultural things from that part of the world, even though they're very close to us. Obviously, there's a situation now which makes things even more difficult, unfortunately. Hopefully that will end shortly. But it's interesting to hear those traditional stories. And I like that name, Ludmila. So I have a few students from Ukraine, actually, who have the name Ludmila. And they often go by Lucy in English. So I quite like that. Yeah. Someone should make a channel, Russian with Ludmila. It's like English with Lucy, but the Russian version. Anyway, or sorry, Ukrainian with Ludmila, if they happen to be Ukrainian. Yeah, by the way, terrible conflict. Hopefully that will end soon. So sorry about that. And I have lots of students who are Ukrainian. I have lots of friends who are Russian. One of my best friends from university is Russian. He hates the war. He wants it to finish. And he has family who are Ukrainian. So it affects him both in terms of his family and also in terms of the sanctions that are placed on Russia, even though he has nothing to do with that conflict. So it's a bad thing really for everyone. And it's really, really sad. Hopefully it will finish as soon as possible. Really terrible that it's gone on so long as well. All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got Anawat.
Hi everyone. Today I'm gonna talk about a moral dilemma. Imagine you are a famous transplant doctor, a father of 4. One day you have 5 patients, each in desperate need of an organ transplant in order to survive. One needs a heart, one a lung, one a kidney, one a liver, and the last one a pancreas. And you have no organ donors at the time. You are about to see them die. Let's assume you know that for sure. Then all of a sudden it occurs to you that in the next room there is another patient who got in an accident with a head injury. He is about to die, but not yet. You don't have much time to wait. You know, if you pull some plugs, he will pass away almost immediately. And you can save 5 patients. What would you do in this situation? Because if someone invests...
Sorry, I'm just going to listen to that part about the guy again.
...about to die, but not yet. You know, a patient who got in an accident with a head injury. He is about to die, but not yet. You don't have much time to wait. You know, if you pull some plugs, he will pass away almost immediately. And you can save 5 patients. What would you do in this situation? Because if someone investigated this case, you might lose your job. You might end up in jail and your license would be withdrawn. For me personally, I tend to follow the rules by the book. My moral side leans towards deontology. It's categorically wrong to do that, even if it brings about a good result. I know some people whose moral stance leans towards utilitarianism might argue that they would prefer to save the 5 patients to make more people happy than suffering. So, what are your thoughts on this situation? Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, interesting perspective. I think I am similar to you, Anawat, in that I am also on the side of deontology. So he mentioned deontology, deontologist, deontology. On the side of deontology, which means following moral rules or guidelines, and this is often contrasted with utilitarianism, which means maximizing the positive outcome. Yeah. So, yeah, I normally would follow deontology, but personally, my favourite is the one that no one's mentioned. I don't think anyone's mentioned the virtue ethics. Virtue ethics are my preferred ethics, actually. Virtue ethics is that you build a character of virtues of a virtuous person. And then once you are a virtuous person, then you will act in a way that is virtuous, right? So if you are, for example, a person who is honest, just, brave, honourable, etc., then you will act in that situation as in the right way. So then the question is, well, what does an honest, just, brave, honourable person do in that situation? It's still a difficult question, but it might mean that we could consider breaking the rules. It's not honest, but maybe it's just. Maybe we find out something about the patient. Maybe the patient's old and the other patients are young. You know, I mean, you are committing murder. That is fact. And that is definitely bad. That is definitely bad, right? There's no situation where doing murder is good, right? It is definitely bad. The question is it still the right action? Because it can be bad, and in fact, something that is a stain on you to have to do it, but there's still a question of, is that the better action than another action, right? Even though it's bad, right? And doing nothing is not necessarily bad, but could lead to bad things, like 5 young children dying because they don't get the organ transplant, or we pull the plug on the bad guy, for example. So it's an interesting question. Again, I do think even with virtue ethics and building on a virtuous character, I personally feel that the deontologist way is the right way here. Even if we have a terrible person on life support, I tend to think that the right thing to do is to let the terrible person live. But that's just my perspective, and maybe I need to work on my virtuous character more in order to determine which is the right action. Would it be morally justifiable if that patient gave consent to sacrifice himself? And that's interesting as well, Anwar. I think it's a bit clearer, and I would say yes, but obviously then we are condoning euthanasia. Euthanasia, which is really another topic. Euthanasia, which is basically the right to die. Do people have a right to die? Actually, in most countries in the world, they do not. Sorry, I spelt it wrong. It's euthanasia, 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 euthanasia. The right to die. That's really a topic for another day. And Sleepwalker says, I would recommend to watch Onegin from 1990. It's based on a novel by Pushkin. Yeah? Onegin. Let's have a look. Ooh, Liv Tyler. Sorry, I can't watch that. I'm banned from watching Liv Tyler. I'm not going to tell you why. Yeah, okay. On again. I'll think about it. Kind of a joke. I made a comment about Liv Tyler at one time to my wife, and we can't watch her anymore. All right, everybody. So it has been my pleasure. If you still haven't smashed that like button, then smash that like button right now. My name has been Professor Rich. Today, we've done all about articles in English. We've looked at homework and we've had a bit of a chat. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I wish that you all have a lovely, lovely weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you on Wednesday at 3 p.m. UK for our next class. Check out the homework. I'll just show you the homework quickly, and I'll catch you next time, everybody. Catch you next time. There you go. There's the homework. All right. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. See you later. One of those. Just like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was a bit off-brand. Yeah, I miss kind of having these outros as well.